G'day folks, it's Cal again, and this is my motorbike plate from my Quickjacks. So if you have Quickjacks, which are these look relatively overpriced jacks for your car, but they're portable and they raise the car up enough to work under it and they're easier than jacks, well, you might think to yourself, it'd be good if I had a plate for the motorbike. Now they do sell one, but currently they're charging $4,000. It used to be $1,300. Anyway, I had this made locally for $350. That was mates rates, but it's worked out pretty well. So I'll write measurements and stuff in the information for the video once I've got them collected, because I've got them buried somewhere. But basically it's corrugated, or whatever you call this, textured aluminium plate, and it's been basically folded over and welded as well to give it some rigidity most of the way along. We stopped at the top, and I can't remember why we did that, but there was something that they did in the factory one from Quickjacks where they did the same thing, so we probably could have gone pretty much all the way. The other thing you do is you have to get some 12mm rod, whether you go solid core or hollow. That's actually steel with some pins, and you basically run that all the way through here. Now what you'll notice there is that's slightly thicker, and the reason is that's actually I'm using as a spacer to set the gap between the Quickjacks so that it's correct and not too narrow. If it's too narrow, or if it's not centered, when you lift it, if the bike's slightly off to one side, it might tilt. And in fact, I actually have to park my bike slightly off to the side to make it work. But it's really, really neat. These little split pins I put in there, and I put some bolts on the other side. Those hold it in place. And the best part about this is, when it's not in use, it actually hides the Quickjacks in the garage in a sort of pleasant, visually pleasant manner. The car can accidentally drive on it. It's great. It basically hides and protects the Quickjacks. So I just basically leave it exactly where it is in the garage, even when it's not in use. Now you'll note that my bike is not exactly centered on here. And the reason for that is it has a very wide center side stand. Any further over to the left, and when I park it and get off it, it would fall off. This would go down over the edge. So I have to move it to the right a little bit. If I had a friend here helping me, that wouldn't be a problem, but I have to get off, leave the bike on its side stand, and then get the jacks out. I do have a center stand for this, but I do not think the center stand would, I don't know, if standing on that with the plate, I don't know, but it works really well. So this is a very, very long bike. When you ride it on the K1300, you have to basically put your front wheel, the contact patch right there, right at the very end. And then when you do that, it gives you enough space to get this under so that the wheels are on the lip. If they're any further back, it kind of wants to pull the bike off the thing rather than off the jack, rather than leave it where it is. So once you do that, and then once you put the front ones on, everything sort of centers up a little bit more. So it's all in a, more of a sturdy position. But it has absolutely no trouble lifting the bike, as you can imagine. This thing, I think this is the 5,000 pound model. It might even be 7,000 pound. There was a very slight uptick in price between the two in terms of the model from Quickjack. But yeah, it's a great working height for working on a motorbike. While working on a small chair, you can easily get, particularly in the case of the K, you can get to your headers, oil filter, radiator, heads, and of course you can lower it. There are two lockout positions on the Quickjacks. Obviously I wouldn't recommend not using the lockouts, even if it's only a 300 kilogram load. But yeah, pretty cool. So I'll put the measurements down below, and you can do it yourself. By the way, just as a final note, there is a guy on YouTube who's done this with a block of wood, like a melamine sheet or whatever it was. So if you don't want to spend the money on metalwork, or you're a carpenter, I'll link you to that video so you can do it yourself with wood, because it's a motorbike and thick wood will be just as good. So yeah, hopefully this helps someone. See ya.